Mr. Prime Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, and thank you for hosting.
I want to move to Nigeria. So that's where you are. Dozens of Christians were killed yesterday in Palm Sunday, slaughtered. Can you take us through what is going on in Nigeria right now? And this is a story that the rest of the world, particularly the West, refuses to cover. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's the truth. It's actually completely disgusting what is happening in Nigeria. And it's not just in one single place. It's not just in one state. It's literally every state across Nigeria. You have people that are innocent that are being slaughtered. And just last night, literally 2 or 3 miles from where I am, they came on motorbikes and in a car, AK-47s, machetes, started killing everybody, shooting everybody in a junction that one of my partners lives at. It could have been my very partner who was killed that night. He's the one who called me as soon as the attack happened and said, hey, there's an attack happening right now where we live. And so I called my driver. I said, we have to go. We have to go see what is happening. And when I got there were 10 people that were killed. Blood everywhere, all over the street. I mean, I still have blood on my boots. And
my God.
By the morning when I woke up, the death toll had tripled. Now it's been 31 people killed, 27 people still in the hospital.
If you have no right to breathe, what right do you have? No right! No right! While people are fighting for elections and painting bans of Tinubu and everybody's worrying about APC, PDP, DPD, you are being killed. At what point will the people care about life? Islam says that I should be arrested by DSS. They say, how can this person come here and speak? How can this person be allowed into Nigeria? Can I tell you, the only reason I'm here is because you guys are being killed.
Yeah.
And right now, the Nigerian Christians do not have a voice. You are being silenced, and you are expected to comply with injustice. But the Lord does not only reserve justice for heaven. Justice is not only reserved for when Jesus comes back.
Yes.
Justice has called Christians to establish justice on this earth.
Justice
here
now.
And now.
Yes, now.
Not in 5 years.
No.
Not in 20 years.
Now.
And
No. It's now.
If you have no right to live, what right do you have? And how long will we tolerate this? My heart is with you. That's why I'm here.
Yes.
If there is no killing, if there is no injustice, I wouldn't be speaking now. It pains me and it's shameful that I even have to speak. And they want me to be silent. They want me to not talk about what is happening. I would rather die than be silent.
Yes. Okay, as I'm talking to you right now, the Fulanis have reported themselves to Donald Trump and to the US Congress. And a lot of people are saying, just like the way Gumi and Bashir are attacking Alex Barbir, the man that has been, doing a lot for the people of the North. And right now, the US Congress are not happy as regards what is currently happening in northern Nigeria. Do you think Donald Trump, on hearing what is going on in Jos and northern part of Nigeria, do you think the division of Nigeria is imminent? Thank you for having me. I will say that what is happening is very clear. As it stands currently, the Fulanis have mistakenly pushed Nigerian situation to Trump's office. Because don't forget that Alex Barbir just tweeted that the likes of Bashir, the likes of Gumi, that he hope now Nigeria can now have peace, that killings will stop. You can see that on your screen very clearly. But I will say that what you see in Nigeria in terms of Fulani SSCs is like it's going to be a blessing in disguise for Nigeria. Because do not forget that this is the same way they mistakenly push these SSCs of theirs to Trump office. Before I knew it, Trump tweeted about Nigeria, and as we have it, American boots are already on ground in Nigeria. And one funny thing is that after they made this mistake, when America made intention to come here, they started rising and saying America should not come. We saw a Gumi who never hid his intention, who came out openly to even tell Tinubu that the government should stop every collaboration with the American government. Now, I'm saying that it's good to say that the government of Nigeria is currently collaborating with the American government and following that trajectory. Now, let me tell you one important thing. We are going to very soon see Alex Barbir addressing an international press conference regarding what is happening in Nigeria. Because this is a man who was very bold while in Nigeria, who told everybody that you can tweet about me, that American government knew he was here, that even Ralimo knew of course, the topography, the geography of the environment he were. This is a man who has been doing excellently well in different part of the north, particularly in Yewata, where he has rebuilt so many homes that were burned down by these Fulani militias. Therefore, me, I think ultimately the Fulanis, out of their different activities, have succeeded in pushing the American government, the European Parliament, even at some point, Israeli asset into people into Nigerian situation. And whether we like it or not, the state we are is a situation where the world have given a serious attention to Nigeria. Do not forget that as we speak, American government already voted about $430 million to fight terrorism in Nigeria and Africa in general. Not only that, we have sent American surveillance drones in Nigeria. And even as we speak, American military intelligence officers, 200 of them have been deployed to Nigeria. They landed.
But people are saying the deployment of this military or this army have not yielded any positive impact.
That is where I'm going. That's where I'm going, because going forward, once they consolidate, they are going to be the one that will be driving the area of intelligence in terms of fighting this insurgency. Because it's after before now, we have heard stories of compromise of maybe the military. So don't forget that even as we speak, Christopher Musa have not been able to tell Nigerians and the world who gave the order that some military personnel that were guarding KB school before the attack and abduction of school students withdrawn. So if the military personnel, intelligence one from America would be the one that will be driving the intelligence in the fight against terrorism, once they assume that responsibility, I want to say that it will not be difficult for anybody to compromise at that level. That's what I'm saying. That is what Nigerians are yearning for. Nigerians are yearning for let this partnership and the presence of the American military intelligence officers start yielding results. And we are hoping and believing that once their operation kickstarts, that all the area of sabotage in terms of operation, we are not going to see it any longer. Do not forget that when we saw the bombing of Lakurawa terrorist group in Tangasa local government area of Sokoto State on that Christmas day, we are happy for it. Irrespective of the fact that the likes of Chiagumi were making mockery of the situation. But I want to tell you that after that bombing, we stopped seeing the likes of Toji Bello, Ada Aleru going to the public places, making public statements, engaging with authorities. It's going to show that they were apprehensive after that bombing. So that is what we are saying. That now that Alex Barbir have left, if he address one press conference, the world will know exactly what is happening in Nigeria. Everything that they are trying to hide, the world will get to know it. Because it was not surprising when we started seeing the likes of Chiagumi, the likes of Bachi started raising issues and demanding that Alex Barbir should go. That ultimately, whether he have left or not, he has been able to gather some level of information with what is happening in Nigeria, especially those areas they hitherto refuse to allow the world to know. So the world is ready and willing to see for themselves what is happening.
But Gumi have been saying that Alex Barbir's speech can result to tribal violence in Nigeria. But you know, a lot of people are saying if Gumi is saying this, that means it doesn't mean well for the people of the north and people of Nigeria. Do you not think for what Gumi have been, attacking this guy? Do you not think Gumi? We know that for the fact that Gumi have been saying want to negotiate with the terrorists and what have you. But for what Gumi have been, the way Gumi now is attacking Barbir, do you not think Gumi truly knows? Knows that as regards our insecurity, the insecurity currently ravaging Nigeria.
The truth is, what Alex Barbir has been saying is all over the media space, and there's something Alex Barbir have said that is out of point. Let me say one thing.
Calling out the president.
Yes, of course. Before now, everybody agreed that there's killing in Benue, there's killing in Plateau, there's killing in Kwara, there's killing in Sokoto, there's killing in Zamfara, there's killing in Katsina, in Southern Kaduna. The only contentious issue is whether there's Christian genocide. My own argument has been very simple. Call it Christian genocide, call it genocide against the people of Benue, against the people of Plateau, against the people of Kwara. The important thing is that they are killing innocent Nigerians. You cannot deny the fact that they were not killing in Yewata, where over 200 persons were killed. You cannot deny the fact that about 70 persons were killed in Bokos and Basa local government areas of Plateau State some time ago. You cannot deny the fact that about 170 persons were killed in Woro area of Kwara State recently. So the important thing is, if we all agree that there's killing, I think the important thing is to agree generally by consensus that we should fight the people who are causing this killing. It is irrespective who is perpetrating it. But if we are patriotic enough, what we should be thinking of generally, collectively, is how do we defeat this evil? So in the quest to defeat it, in my opinion, I think as a government, I should advise the government that they should go all out to acquire monopoly or coercive power. To smoke the terrorists out of the hiding places, so they don't bring them to justice.
But we've seen a lot of people accuse the APC of knowing as regards the insecurity currently ravaging Nigeria. Do you think from what is happening currently, do you think there will be election?
There may be election, but I want to tell you that the reason they're accusing them is not far-fetched. Because the lives of Kawu Baraje,
We see Canada attack APC. They said,
I agree with you, but the reason they're accusing them is not far-fetched. The life of Kawu Baraje was on media the other time, where he said that they brought in Fulani military from Burkina Faso, Mali, Libya, name it, to remove a Jonathan from office. So it got to show that if the government were serious to even fight this terrorism, people like that should have been caught and questioned. Because for me, life is sacrosanct. We must do everything within the ambits of the law to protect the sanctity of human life. And I keep saying it because I feel the essence cannot be overemphasized. That if you say you are not speaking up because it's not happening in your locality, that it is a matter of time to go down. If somebody were to tell you that in Sunday 2009, 2010, when this whole issue of terrorism started, that it will come a time where Kwara State will become an epicenter of terrorism, nobody will believe it. Because it all started from Yobe State, from Yobe State, from Borno State, and it was largely restricted to Sambisa Forest. That currently in this 2026, Kwara State had become an epicenter of terrorism. It is even entering into Ondo State because we have seen a monarch who resisted being kidnapped was alive in his palace. We have seen the burning down of a police station recently in Ondo State. And apart from that, we have seen a Shemakede of Oyo State who came out openly the other day to raise a land that the bandits who had been destroyed from the north were already hibernating in the southwestern forest. A situation that made them attempt to raise about 2,000 men to smoke them and destroy them out of southwestern forest. So for me, I think it's simple. Acquire monopoly of currency power, smoke them out of the hiding places, sell their own and bring them to justice. Because as a matter of urgency and necessity, we must get to the root of this. Let me say that we must nip this crime in the bud, and the best strategy to nip it in the bud is to arrest those who move arms and ammunition for them, those who gather intelligence for them, those who move funds for them. Because for me, once we're able to cut out their source of funding, cut out their source of arms and weapon supply, we have crippled their activities. And I think we must do diligently. That is why I totally support the area of state police. But for me, it's the major potential to solve this problem. Because our crime is local. And if our crime is local, it's got to show that the locals have the way without intelligence to deal with it. So for me, the forest guard, yes, and the state police is the way to go.
Okay, but do you think division of Nigeria will stop this menace? Do you think that if Nigeria is divided, a Fulani military or a Fulani herdsman cannot go to the southeast, cannot go to the southwest to start buying people unjustly? Do you think if Nigeria is divided, this can finally bring solution as regards to security in Nigeria?
The issue of division of Nigeria, the structure of Nigeria, people have their diverse opinion. But I want to tell you that as a person, I believe that there is nothing sacrosanct about Nigeria, to the extent that by providence, God has created Nigeria, never created Nigeria as one. It's not God that named Nigeria Nigeria. It is the principle that named Nigeria Nigeria. The Igbos have existed, the Hausas have existed, the Yorubas have existed, the Fulani have existed thousands of years before the amalgamation came on board. So it was not by providence that you see Nigeria that we call Nigeria today. So to that extent, if people can say, okay, let us go by self-determination, the person may not have committed any known crime, both locally and internationally. Because even as you speak, UN Charter that talks about self-determination, talking about Article 1, Subsection 2, it's very clear that the people have right of self-determination. If you go to the African Charter, talking about Article 1 of it, it talks about self-determination. And these two charters have been ratified in Nigeria. So that extent is already a law in Nigeria that jurisprudence. So if somebody relying on them to demand for self-determination, I want to say that the person has not committed any known crime, both locally and internationally. I want to say that that doesn't explain the reason in all the charges against him, you will never see any area where they charge him for self-determination. Because obviously the government knows that it's a right. You fully notice that at some point, even a court of appeal in Nigeria ruled that Nnamdi Kanu was extraordinary rendition from Kenya to Nigeria. And you know the meaning of rendition, forcefully against his will, taken from Kenya to Nigeria. And that rendered all his prosecution illegal until federal government went to appeal court to quash that process, and they were have to start de novo. Even in Kenya, we have seen a court that ruled that the process of bringing Nnamdi Kanu to Nigeria was still illegal. So self-determination in itself, Nigeria break up if it's done within the ambit of the law, if done without resorting to wanton destruction of lives and properties of the people, it's not a bad thing and it's not illegal.